Okay, so by the time you reach this portion, you already learn why you need to use R formula to convert two functions into one function, and when are you using the R formula. So after you know how to convert, you also learn that there are two types of question. One type is to ask you to solve trigo equation. Another type is to ask you to find the maximum and minimum. So that will be the few things that you already learned by the time you come to this portion. So we're going to add on one last portion. We're going to add on the R formula with context. The context is something that requires you to prove. It requires you to prove something before you go for the conversion, before you go for the solving, before you go for the maximum minimum. Okay, so I'm going to show you two examples on how whatever you have learned so far will be applied into a long question like this. So we are adding on some context. So the context usually get you to prove. So in example one, we have a rectangle inserted in a semicircle. And we actually got to show the parameter of the rectangle to be this expression. So this is the new thing that you're going to learn. How are you going to show it? Okay, so let's say you couldn't show, or you're running out of time. If you skip the showing, right, you can actually continue and do your R formula. So if let's say you fail to show, you just go and do the conversion first. And after the conversion, find the maximum value and find the corresponding theta. And you can also use your converted R formula to solve for parameter equal to 20. So this is the part that I will not be showing. You should try. So this is the kind of question where, right, you can skip the proof, you carry on with the R formula, you carry on with the maximum, you carry on with the solving. So our concern right now is not all this. I will not be showing. Later on, you can try the working to see whether you match up or not. So the critical one is to show. So most of the time, the showing has to do with trigo ratio. So for example, here, I will need to explore the component in the parameter. So because it's a rectangle, I will have 90 degrees. So if I explore carefully, my parameter got two lengths and my parameter got two breadths. The two breadths are easy. The two breadths is just like, two sets of AB. The length is, so the length, right, is like 4 sets of OA. Can you see, right, this part, I got 4 portions of it. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the length, the two length will be 4 times of OA. So from here, I'm going to explore my OA and my AB. So I'm going to explore that in the triangle, in this triangle. So you do some thinking first. After some thinking, okay, it will lead you to using trigo ratio. So it will be good if you stick to the triangle. So remember, your concern is to get OA, is to get AB. So for example, I will think if I would like OA, that will be sine theta. cross multiply, that's my OA. And if my constant is AB, then that will be a cosine theta. Then I will cross multiply. So once I get the ratio, my parameter is made up of 4OA. I think I made a careless mistake. OA over 6 should be a cosine. Okay, I make a careless mistake. OA over 6 should be a cosine. So I will get 6 cosine theta. Okay, when I don't get 24 cosine theta, I know that something is wrong. So that means this part should be a sine because it's opposite. So I will get twice 6 sine theta. So this is how you show the parameter. So if you cannot get the proof, that means you check, is there some careless mistake? So that's how I check that I actually got careless mistake. Because just now, because of the careless mistake, I get 24 sine theta instead of 24 cosine theta. So that is the proving that we are doing. So with this proof or not proof, well, you still can take it, continue the R formula, continue the maximum, continue to find the corresponding values, and continue to solve. Okay, so all this can lead you to a very, very long, like a 10 to 12 marks question. Okay, so let's look at another proving. This proving is not so easy. So in this question, right, they give us a diagram, and then you're supposed to show OR. So if you observe carefully, OR is here. How on earth OR will become this? Okay, so again, this is the proving that you need to learn. So if you can't prove it, never mind. Take that and do your converted R formula. So you take the OR equal to 2 sine theta plus 8 cosine theta. You convert to R formula so that you can find the maximum, so that you can find the corresponding value. So if let's say you couldn't prove, do your R formula, find the maximum and the corresponding, and also solve for the equation. So take the converted R formula, solve. So this is what you learned in the previous teaching worksheet, example 3, example 4. So right now, our concern again is to get the proof. So for this question, in order to get the proof, you actually need to cut. So you need to cut the diagram. So a lot of people will cut like this. So if you cut like this, it doesn't work because you cut the theta. You cannot be cutting the theta. Cutting the theta, that means you create some issue for yourself. Because you might not cut the angle, the theta into half. Okay, so there's no guarantee. Okay, and then, okay, but why do some people cut this one? Because when they cut this, there's a right angle. So after that, they will realize, I can't continue. Okay, then another thing will be, can I cut another way? So some people will say, oh, I'm going to cut this way. Looks pretty fine. It looks pretty fine, right? Because you got 90 degree, that looks quite nice. But if you do it this way, you actually cut the 8 centimeter. Do you realize you cut the 8 centimeter into two portions? So no doubt it looks quite nice, but you cut the 8 centimeter. So our idea here is, right, if you would like to do any cutting, you are not supposed to cut the angle. You cannot cut the theta. You cannot cut the length. So then what can you cut? Okay, you cannot cut theta. You got to keep the 8 centimeter intact. You got to keep the 2 centimeter intact. You can only cut the 90-degree here. You cut the 90-degree here. So if you cut the 90-degree, maybe you need to add in an extra coordinates. So you're going to cut this way. So if you cut this way, you realize that there are two portions that you need. So OR is made out of KR and PL. PL is actually the same value as OK. Okay, so you need this cutting. So, okay, if you do this cutting, right, this is what you'll be getting. So if you do this cutting, you will get two triangles. So you will get two triangles. I'm going to look at the big one first. So if you look at the big one, so this is the big one with the 8 centimeter with the theta. You can get KR. So from here, cosine theta is equal to KR over 8. So do your cross multiplication, you will get 8 cosine theta. So in the next question, so in the next part, so I gotten my KR, I need my PL. So if you need your PL, you got to be looking at the smaller triangle. So you got to be looking at the smaller triangle here. The triangle with the 2 centimeter. Okay, you realize that in this triangle, you don't have a theta. So you must somehow get a theta. So where does the theta come from? It actually come from this triangle. So this angle will be 180 minus 90 minus theta. So this angle, that means this angle here is 90 minus theta. Okay, remember, originally you cut the 90-degree. So this angle was the 90, was a part of the original 90, and then you're going to subtract the 90 minus theta. So if you do that, you get the theta here. So this part is actually a theta. So this part is actually the theta. And from this part, we can get the PL that we wanted. PL will be opposite. So sine theta will be PL over 2. So from here, my OR will be 8 cosine theta plus 2 sine theta. So that is the showing. So this is a question that involves cutting. So when you cut, no matter how the diagram, they can be they can turn a lot of variety of diagram. That means this orientation they can turn it into different way. So no matter what is the turning, if you would like to cut, make sure you don't cut the theta, you don't cut the two length. So if you cut the two length, right, you will never be able to get the numbers in the proof. So the guideline is you don't cut the angle, don't cut the two length. You only cut the 90 degree. So you cut the 90 degree, so eventually you can do something like this. You can have the original 90 subtracting an angle. Okay, so that is something for you to take note. Then after the showing, right, everything else repeat with your R formula.